I'm Casey Redbeard. In this video, I'm going to talk about why dating is broken and how we even got here in the first place. Let's get into it. So, once upon a time, people pretty much only met their romantic prospects through social circle. Okay, so this would be people you met from church, university, through friends and family, any type of like social gatherings and networks like that. That was mostly how people met. They'd always do this cute thing where in Victorian times and like, colonial America and, Great Britain around the 17, 1800s, where if a woman saw a man that she thought was attractive, she would purposely drop her handkerchief. And then hopefully the man would, run like, miss, you dropped your handkerchief. And she'd be like, oh, thank you so much, my hero, So that was like kind of a cute thing. That's maybe how like, cold approach could have kind of worked then. And I'm sure, men always approach women to some degree, but there's probably a lot of stranger danger. And let's, that's just kind of how it worked. You married people through, your community and stuff. That was the main thing. And it's still one of the main ways that people meet, right, through social circles. But the cold approach, like the height of the cold approach era started around, I would say, the 80s, 90s, and peaked around, late 90s to early 2000s. So social circle was probably like from the beginning of time up until about maybe the 70s, 80s, it started to change. Again, with some cold approach always, to some degree being mixed in there. But, primarily, I think most marriages were from social circle. Then things got into the rise of the cold approach, like, starting from maybe like, 80s, 90s, certainly around early 2000s. Like if you watch music videos from the early 2000s, they're all filmed in nightclubs. It was all about club culture. It was all about, big groups of guys with no women would go out to nightclubs, where also big groups of women with no guys would go to the same nightclubs. And these big groups of just women and these big groups of just men would all cold approach each other. Well, the men would cold approach the women, right? But it wasn't about necessarily going out with your coworkers anymore, or it was kind of like the marketplace, the bazaar, right? Like, ooh, who am I going to meet here? What type of guys or women are here? And it was kind of around this era where there's a famous quote from Voltaire that says, "Give me 10 minutes and I will," sorry, he said, "Give me 10 minutes to talk away my ugly face and I will bed the Queen of France." And this was kind of like the theory of cold approach pickup. Look, women have always liked tall, muscular, sexy, jawline, six-pack having guys. Okay, that's always been a thing. Good-looking guys have always had it easier than ugly guys. But this was the height of like where if you had to put your money, if you were a betting man, right, you'd always put your money on like the loudest, most charismatic guy with the most swagger in the room pulling the hottest girls, unless he was like also like a mutant, right? But like, let's say average or heaven forbid, slightly above average guy with big charisma at like the little house party, at the little kickback, at the club certainly would mop the floor with a handsome guy with just a very normal kind of bland personality, right? Like confidence and just like and in a volume game too, right? Because now like handsome shy guys can run volume like on the apps. But before, like a handsome shy guy may get girls flirting at him, staring at him, wishing that he would talk to them. The girl like wishing that, yeah, the guy would come talk to them, but he wouldn't capitalize it because he was too shy. And even if he got like a higher success per approach, maybe even with worse game than an average looking guy, maybe the average looking guy with some fucking balls, he had a little bit less successful percentage, but he made up for it with volume. So that was my heyday. That's when you saw things like, Real Social Dynamics, Mystery Method, Neil Strauss in the pickup. And that was inarguably, I think, for me, it's inarguably, I think for you, we could all agree, when you had to have the balls to meet women, like when you met a girl, it was like a quote unquote insta date right then and there, right? Despite, maybe like, nighttime and makeup and being drunk, you knew what the girl looked like. Again, like I've had times where I had beer goggles and it was dark and she had a ton of makeup, and then in the daytime she looked different. But for the most part, certainly day game, you know what the girl looks like, you know what her vibe is. If you're in a conversation with her, it's already kind of like you've had your first date. So, flake rates were, depends on a lot of things, but in many cases a lot lower because, she already experienced you. And these were good times. And then we got to the evolution after the cold approach era to the age of digital dating. Hey guys, back to the video in just a few seconds, but first, I had to share these amazing results that I've been having on dating apps using 100% fake AI generated photos. Every single girl that you're seeing on screen right now, I matched with on Bumble using, yes, fake AI photos. And here are the photos on the screen right now that I used. And before you rush to the comments and want to say something dumb like, oh, I could kind of tell that they were fake. I know that you can't tell that they're fake because I'm lying to you. I'm showing you a mixture of both real photos and AI photos, and I bet you can't tell the difference of which is which. And I've done well on the dating apps even before with real photos, but ever since I put AI photos on there into the mix, the results have been absolutely insane, as you were seeing. And not only can I now be super lazy, I don't have to do photo shoots anymore in real life, but I can now get access to backdrops I never could before, such as being on a private jet or some insane looking baller Airbnb. And no, I know what you're thinking. Both the dating app platforms and Instagram cannot tell that these are AI and they will not get you banned. So if you want some of these for yourself, just check out the link in the video description. It's also in the first pinned comment. It's the same link, and we will get back to the regular video now. All right, we're back. Digital dating. We covered social circle, cold approach. Now we're at the rise of digital dating. The rise of digital dating has two parts, okay? The first part of the age of digital dating is what I call the free love slash hookup culture part. Oh, and by the way, this video is heavily inspired by Coach Greg Adams. I don't know a lot about him, but I have two good friends called Fresh and Fit, the Fresh and Fit podcast. And I saw Coach Greg Adams do a show with them. And from what little I know about the guy, I like him so far. And this video is heavily inspired by him, at least this part. So the free love or hookup culture stage of the age of digital dating starts at around the year 2012. If I'm not mistaken, the year 2012 marks two landmark inventions that shaped, modern history, which are Instagram and Tinder. Both of, unless maybe I'm off by like a year, but like to my knowledge, it was right around 2012 that both Instagram and Tinder hit the scene. Maybe they became a bit more popularized around like, by 2013, 2014, pretty much all young people were on them, okay? But feminism wasn't nearly as bad or as strong as it was. Things were a bit more traditional, at least compared to how they are now. And an attractive guy with good photos could just get on the apps and just start crushing it, right? Or a guy who had, like there was like auto swipers and stuff like that. If you guys remember the very early days of Tinder, they didn't ban you. You could like run a script that would just, auto swipe, every single girl in your area. You weren't like, banned for like, swiping right on every single girl. And girls weren't expecting money for hooking up with you. They just, girls would go out with you. Oh, by the way, let me come back. In all of these stages, the early social circle stage, the cold approach stage, and the beginning of like the digital love, whatever thing. Certainly, I would say prior to 2009, it was weird and almost unheard of for women to openly have so many financial expectations for a man. Look, maybe privately, the girls would talk about themselves that like they always wanted rich guys. They always want to be taken care of. What girls want a rich guy that can take him to fucking Mykonos, right? That's an island in Greece, by the way. Every girl wants to go to Mykonos, right? Or the Maldives. But to be so upfront about it and put so much importance on that, and certainly to like, be doing any type of sex work, to be on a sugar daddy website, to be a prostitute, these things were all seen as like very, very shameful. And there's always some exceptions. Look, it probably went on a bit more than even I was aware of in 2009, but I remember bringing home beautiful girls from nightclubs, never asked me for a dime. Like if we were gonna hang out, it was just understood that they would like figure it out, they'd pay their own. I don't think Uber was even around in 2009, but they'd drive out there. I wasn't paying their gas. Obviously I paid, on the dates. I even think there were some times when girls offered to go 50-50 on the dates, and I said, oh, okay, probably dumb move, but I still, finished the job. But it was, and even early into this like first, part of like the digital dating stage, it was the free love era. They weren't, expecting to be paid, and they would just, they would see hot guys on the apps and meet hot guys on Instagram, influencers, and they still wanted to meet up and bang. And cold approach was still really effective. Now, what we're in right now in this current time is we're still in the digital age, but we've passed the first part of the digital age, which was the free love hookup culture, digital era stage. And now we're in the digital era of monetization, of sugar dating being the norm. This is something that pains me to say. this is something that will hurt me financially. If some guy, you know, wants to buy or invest in one of my courses. By the way, what I do is I build a high status here. We'll show some editing, put some photos of me and stuff like that, getting really high status photos for your Instagram, and then downloading a list of all the hottest girls in your area, following about 20 a day, and then messaging the ones that follow you back. The girls on Instagram are more receptive, they're hotter, they're less flaky. Also, going to better dating markets and having a copy and paste funnel so I don't have to think, and kind of letting a virtual assistant manage the whole thing for me, so I can just wake up to, we'll put like the screenshots of like how many girls follow me. Like in any given day I wake up, if I'm running the system at full blast, like in a 24-hour period, 6, 7, 8 girls follow me back. That's what I do. But if I had a guy who was like willing to pay me like, something for coaching, I'd have to be honest and tell him like, look, if you're not doing really well financially, good luck getting a beautiful chick. Now look, a few guys don't want to say like, but I knew a Chad once. I knew like a really hot dance instructor in Colombia, and this guy was a broke Colombian in Medellin, and he was like a really good salsa instructor and really good looking jacked guy. And he had hot girlfriends all the time. Like, okay, yeah, sure, some exceptions exist. It wouldn't be the strangest thing that I've ever seen. I just don't. And who says she's not cheating on him? Who says that he doesn't have some other source of money you might know about? But even if he's verifiably broke, retaining these girls and sleeping with them is a different thing. I digress. But now, beautiful women are unashamedly, unabashedly, unregrettably, brazenly in your face about the fact that they are monetized. They're selling feet pictures on OnlyFans. They are on sugar daddy websites. They are openly making, TikToks and stuff like that about like only date guys for money and only date guys that are paying their bills and, never date a broke ass nigga and all this shit like that. They're just like openly saying all this retarded stuff. And it's getting really hard to compete if you're just trying. And again, like, listen, one thing I'm teaching my clients right now, I'm getting very mixed reviews of this, and it's up to your own interpretation on this. If you don't agree, then I guess you're not my demographic. We don't have to think alike. But I made a video where actually her name is Mariana. So editor, you can put Mariana in the video right now. We're in the pool and stuff like that. Maybe even the B-roll of her just in my apartment in the bikini and when we went shopping. But long story short, I met this girl on Instagram, and I said, hey, you've got like more bikinis than you do regular clothing. I guess you love the water, you love the beach. She's like, oh yeah, anything that had to do with the water and the beach, I love it. And I was like, I'm just gonna try an experiment, because a lot of my clients are asking like, how does sugar dating even work? And how do you do it without getting like fucking trampled on? And I don't wanna hire an escort from Seeking Arrangement. I'm like, yeah, let me experiment with this stuff. So offered to buy her a bikini, 50 bucks. Also her Uber was like maybe back and forth was 20 bucks because she came from pretty far. It was in Brazil, but she came from pretty far. And the sushi was like $30. I think I spent like $100 in the day total. So it would have been 50, but then add the bikini, say it was $40. I spent $90, whatever it is. And a lot of guys said, you're a simp, you're a loser. Basically what happened is I bought her she came over, we met at the mall. I bought her the bikini. I said, hey, I'll buy you an extra bikini to add to your collection. You'll have yet another bikini. And then we'll go up to my pool, hang out in the pool, and then we'll get dinner. She's like, yeah, that sounds great. So we met at the mall. I bought her the bikini. I took her back upstairs. We were in the pool, making out, kissing and stuff. I don't think I have any footage of me kissing her in the pool, but trust me, we did. And then we went to sushi, and then we went back to my place. And when we went back to my place, there were sounds of this. Just turn off this video and unsubscribe right now. But no, yeah, so it was a successful evening. And then some guys, like I even told this story on Instagram, and some guys are like, huh, I used to like this guy, but what he's doing, he's just using money to get girls, and there's no achievement in this. I'm like, bro, like, first of all, I had to match the girl on Instagram first, which means like a match on Instagram is I follow the girl and she follows me back. So first of all, I had to match her. So there was clearly some work to be done in putting together a profile. Second of all, it's like, bro, like, he's like, anybody could do what this guy does. There's no achievement when you pay for it. I'm like, bro, yeah. Try walking up to whatever you want to rate this girl, 7, 7.5, 8. Some guys think she's gorgeous. Some guys think she's ugly. I don't know. Let's just call her a 7.5, 8. Let's be generous. Let's be generous here. Let's call her an 8, right? You walk up to an 8 and then tell her that you are going to buy her a bikini and an Uber and some sushi, and see if she'll let you bust a load in her mouth. Like, seriously. Seriously. If this is so, like, it's not even an achievement, anybody can do this. Yeah, you walk up to an 8 and then you tell her, I want to buy you a bikini if you come back to my place and fuck me. You know what I mean? Like it just, I know it's just haters. And listen, if you don't like what I'm saying, unsubscribe. If you think that makes me a simp, I'm literally just playing the game. I don't do this all the time. Look, if I talk to a girl, I'm just getting like insane interest. She's over the top complimenting me. She's responding super quickly. Everything's going well. In a certain dating market where I know I have a lot of value, I'm not buying bitches anything. I mean, sure, I'm always paying for the Uber and the dinner, but I'm not offering to buy the bikini. Now I go to Rio, I go to Sao Paulo, I go to Medellin, I go to Asunción, Paraguay, I go to Guadalajara, Mexico. I want to go to some dating markets, which even if you don't think that there's a shitload of prostitution and pay for play and girls overtly monetizing themselves, like you guys may not know that, but like trust me, it's going on. Yeah, maybe I'll invite a girl to one of the top most expensive restaurants for our first date. Maybe I'll offer to buy her a bikini. Maybe I'll offer to buy her a dress or not. I don't have to. It's not like the cornerstone of my strategy. All the girls you see on Instagram, I think I like sugared for them and just like bought them a bikini or did, bought them something, a gift for the first date. Like, I think I did that with like 4 girls out of 400 that you see on my Instagram. So it's not like the cornerstone, but I'm just saying it depends on your SMV. SMV is your sexual market value. It's going to depend on your SMV. It's going to depend on, I mean, quite frankly, a million different things, right? But my point being is we have evolved. We are in the stage of the second half of digital dating, which is no longer the free love stage of digital dating. We are in the monetized dating stage of digital dating. And like I've said a million times, if you're that 6'5" billionaire Chad, and all these girls are just fighting to come over and suck your dick, and you're drained all the time, and your biggest problem is your balls never get a chance to fill up, then don't do any of this sugaring thing. But if you're a very average looking guy like me, with amazing photos, amazing content, you can match a lot of these hot girls and get conversations going with a lot of hot girls, but you're still experiencing some flaking, you can try the quote unquote lightly sugaring thing that I talk about. But there's right ways to do it. There's wrong ways to do it. You don't go to sites like Seeking Arrangement. You have to match the girl on the apps or cold approach her or get a match with her on Instagram first. And if you want any help with that, you can go to my Instagram, which is RedbeardRants1, and message me the word audit. I can get on you and give you a free audit on, primarily your Instagram or what content, what strategy you're using. Are you meeting girls on Instagram? Do you know how to find girls on there? What are you texting these girls? If you want to build, like a high-size profile, like the pictures editor, put pictures of me up there. If you want, like amazing photos like the one you've seen, throughout this video, we can chat about that. But if you're just one of these people here for entertainment and you don't want to actually implement anything, that's cool too. Hope you're entertained. And that is the end of this video. Cheers.